Hey, everybody. Welcome to Let's Fix Work. I'm Laurie Rudiman. On today's episode, I talked to Robin Schooling, a dear friend of mine who works in human resources. I've been avoiding an episode on HR because honestly, well, they have a bad reputation for fixing work. But Robin is no traditional guest or HR executive. She's breaking stereotypes around the globe. Robin is America's HR lady, the VP of HR at Hollywood Casino Baton Rouge, and an advocate of the workforce revolution. Today's episode will challenge your thinking about HR and show you how it can be a force of good to fix work. At the very least, I think you'll fall in love with Robin like I have. So sit tight, everybody, and I'll be right back with Robin Schooling, America's HR lady, and more of Let's Fix Work.
Work is broken. So is the way you think about it. Host Laurie Rudiman is breaking things down so you can put them back together and make work something you can enjoy. Let's fix work together. With the Let's Fix Work podcast, here's Laurie.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. My dear friend Robin Schooling is an HR executive who has keynoted conferences and coached HR employees around the world. She's awesome, and I asked Robin to tell us a little bit about herself and whether or not work is broken. I'm Laurie Rudiman, and I'm here today with one of my dearest friends in the world. It's human resources leader and executive and really America's HR lady, Robin Schooling. Robin, how are you doing today?
Hi, Laurie. I'm doing good. I'm sitting here in America's HR office, actually, as we're talking.
Good. Do you have a nice view? Is your view in America's HR office pretty great? Like, what are you looking at?
Actually, no, I really don't. I have a view of our patron parking lot here at the casino, which can be quite amusing sometimes, depending upon if people are coming or going. I can see some entertaining things.
Absolutely. I'm sure you can. Well, for those of you who don't know Robin, and Robin, I've done a little introduction of you before joining us. Why don't you just quickly sum up who you are and what you do and why I call you America's HR lady?
Well, I have worked in HR for I almost hate to say how many years because I've tended to start to take years off my age and things.
Yeah.
Well, over 20 years, we'll say that. And really have always been in-house. I started in an agency, but did that for 1 year and then went in-house and, traversed industries from, very corporate buttoned up, banking and healthcare, academia environments to gaming, to third-party logistics. I've been in warehouses. My workforce did logistics. I'm on my second casino now, and I've run HR departments of one, and I've been a cog in the wheel of large global HR teams as well. So I think I've pretty much done it all in HR. And I think one of the reasons I kind of like the moniker America's HR lady, you and I, Laurie, are very similar in that we like to go out and talk to people that are doing the work in HR. And, I have my own stories, but I hear a lot of stories and I love getting into conversations with my HR peers about what their day-to-day is like. What are they facing? What's happening in their organizations? And I think even before we started to talk about Let's Fix Work, I certainly was looking at, well, how do we fix HR? How do we make HR better? Because I think that's sort of a core piece of fixing work can be making HR better.
Yeah, I think you're right. And for me, I have a philosophy that we fix work by fixing ourselves, but that's not enough. We have to fix leadership and drive accountability. Mm-hmm. And so I've talked to Vince Molinaro about that. And also we have to fix human resources, which is why I brought you on the show today, because Robin, we have so many friends who love HR. And if you cut them open, they bleed HR. They just love it.
Yes.
So I've been hesitant to bring those individuals on the show because I think there's some fundamental things that are wrong with HR. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But I want to make sure you and I are on the same page. that work is broken. Do you believe that?
I and here's where I put on my happy hat a little bit. I think work is sitting in the ER. We have a chance of recovery when we treat the symptoms the right way. And thinking about it, it's like, work is like a hemophiliac. We're prone to bleeding very quickly. We're prone to bruising.
Right.
Where the work is the hemophiliac that's bumped into too many pieces of furniture, fallen down one too many flights of stairs, and we're bleeding and continue to get broken. And I think we got there, just like a hemophiliac. So you're for so many years we thought that work was safely wrapped in this kind of protective cocoon. Employers, for the most part, I look back at my career, employers did whatever they wanted for the most part, kind of, fell through the good times, from the employer perspective, they thought that would never end, and then we hit 2008. And even though things had started to sort of shift in the workplace by then, 2008 comes, the financial crisis, everybody hunkers down, and employers kind of got back into this mindset of, oh, well, see, we're kind of on top of it now. And the employees, job seekers, whatever, they need us more, more than we need them. So we're kind of in charge again. Well, things are shifting now.
Yeah, they're shifting.
Changing demographics, economic factors, people expecting, employees and job seekers expecting, a different type of psychological contract with their job. And now those old school managers, and when I say old school, that's not necessarily age dependent, by the way. I see 30-year-olds with sort of old school management thinking have to really take a deep look inside and say, is the way that we're presenting our employment experiences, the way that we are treating people at work, still going to continue to work? And they're very quickly finding out that the answer is no. And that's everything from, I just had a conversation not that long ago with a manager who still has that old view of, oh, well, a job hopper. Oh, well, Sally only worked there at every job for 3 or 4 years. I don't think I want to consider her.
Oh my God, 3
And
to 4 years is a lifetime.
yeah, exactly. And so here I come, and I'm pulling out here, let me show you this research that shows the average tenure at jobs now. And, really, are you really saying that? And oh my God, you're thinking like it's 1962. This was a manager in their early 40s. This is not some crusty old guy with a cigar,
but
monopoly boss.
Kind of crusty mentally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think that's going away, and and work is bruised, and I kind of think I personally like it, but I don't like that these things happened, but the rise of the Me Too stories that we've heard, the things that have surfaced, the treatment of employees, the stories that have surfaced. There was one here just not that long ago of a manager at a convenience store, all captured on text, giving an employee a hard time who needed to be off because her son was on life support.
Yeah, I saw
those sorts
that.
of things. Yeah, that's always happened. It's now in our face, and it shows us right in our face that work is broken, is bruised. And the day of reckoning is in our face. The day of reckoning is here. I hate that those things happened, but I think they serve a purpose, a bigger purpose.
Many of you know that I don't let HR off the hook for bullying, harassment, Me Too, the wage gap, or a whole host of problems that have plagued the world of work. So I asked Robin point blank, if HR is part of the problem, why work is broken.
What if I told you that your boss skydives, Tim in marketing is a magician, and Sam in accounting does sums in his head while standing on his hands? Seeing sides of the people you work with but never see, sides that inform and inspire their work and that can inspire yours, is what The Talent Show is all about. Email me, Tom Alexander, host of The Talent Show, at talentshow@backboneinc.com and show us what you got. I look forward to seeing you on The Talent Show.
I think yes. And I think, again, sort of with the rise of these stories, you go to any message board or news site where these stories are being told, and 99% of the respondents, feel that same way. Oh, where was HR? Where was the boss? Where was this? What happened with this company? And I think HR has been part of the problem, is part of the problem, primarily because HR doesn't know where to place itself in the conversation. Historically, HR, I think there's two pieces to that. HR has been very insular, looking inward, sitting in the HR department, looking at each other. Do we have enough, candy bowls on our desk? And, are we getting our benefits done? Then HR started to know the business, which, kudos to HR, because we've been talking about that years ago.
Yeah, right.
We've overcome that. I think I see a lot of HR professionals that understand the business. Now HR needs to also understand the world, political, social, economic, tech, whatever it may be. So I think that's one of the reasons HR is a problem. Another reason is HR historically has sort of sat at this juncture, and I hear it all the time, and I'm sure you do too, where HR professionals will say, well, I have this really difficult line to straddle. I have to balance that fine line between the needs of the business and the needs of the employees. And that's sort of been a cop-out for HR. And is there some truth to that? Yes. We are here to serve the business. We have, goals and metrics and objectives that we have to meet and all that sort of thing. But being an advocate for the business and being an advocate for the employees, it's not mutually exclusive.
Yeah,
you
you're
can
right.
do both. And I think that's where HR people struggle, is not going enough sometimes to the employee side.
With so many people having so many battles with HR, or the mere fact that many HR teams seem indifferent to workplace suffering, why should anybody care about human resources?
One of the things that I always say to HR, my HR peers, but I also remind our employees all the time, is your HR team, your HR staff in your organization they're also your coworkers. They are also people. They have souls. They have personalities.
Yes.
They may not show it at work. And I encourage HR people to show their personalities at work. It's okay. Laugh, joke, have fun. Tell everybody you went and got a new tattoo. Whatever. Be a human being yourself if you work in HR. But I think employees and job seekers, we have a bad rap to overcome in HR, but I think they should care, because most HR people, here's again where I'm optimistic. Have I run into the bad ones? Of course. But I truly believe most HR people have gotten into HR, perhaps initially misguided, thinking it was going to be sunshine and lollipops, and taking care of people, and then you have to do the hard work. But most people that got into HR did so with a good heart.
I asked Robin to describe her favorite part of HR and why that part matters.
My favorite part has always been recruiting, because I think it is one of the happiest times, the happiest interactions that you have with
Absolutely. You're changing
people.
someone's life. Yeah,
Yes.
you're right.
And if we can if we can bottle that, if we look at the spectrum of what HR does, if we can bottle that feeling that you can get when you're recruiting and you're helping people find a job with your organization, if we can bottle that and do that even when we're helping people navigate open enrollment, or we're helping them navigate a workplace disagreement with their coworker or manager, if we keep that in our mind, that changes how we're doing HR. And that, again, it doesn't happen overnight, but that bit by bit changes people's perception of HR when there's a sense that HR lady sitting there really does care about me. She doesn't just have a box, bowl of candy and a pack of Kleenex on her desk to feed herself.
Wait. Although she might, if she's me.
She might.
All right. I shared with Robin that I have no favorite part of human resources and personally struggled to make a difference when I worked in the trenches of human resources. I wonder, how does she make a difference?
When I find myself in those situations and where I think HR can make the difference, and this gets very, very, granular. This is totally on the micro level.
Yeah, I love it.
This is one person at a time. This is doing HR for one person at a time. But I see a lot of my role, and my team does the same thing. We listen to the voice of the employees. And I'm very fortunate in that internally we have a really good reputation as HR, I think, on our property, and we are very approachable. We have people in here constantly, employees, sometimes just to talk. They want to ask a question, they want to vent, and they come here because it's a safe place for them to come, and we listen. And so, yeah, a lot of it becomes anecdotal, but we're I have 450 employees. I'm not talking a huge enterprise, so I can gather these sort of anecdotal stories. I see my role as translating that human condition, if you will, to the rest of the leadership team. When we're looking at doing X, we're going to make this change, we're going to implement this policy, we're going to do whatever. I find myself speaking on behalf of the employees as part of those conversations. Now, I bring those stories with, do I think this is good, bad, indifferent? Here's what this might cost us. Here's what this could lead to. Here are the unintended consequences if we would do this, but here's why I'm bringing it up. Let's have this conversation. And I think HR people need to have the courage sometimes to bring those stories of reality to other leaders.
As all of you know, Let's Fix Work is based on a philosophy that we fix work by fixing ourselves. Bring your best self to work, and you don't even need HR. At least that's what I think. I asked Robin, am I being naive? Do we need HR?
The pace of change in the world of business is fast, and that drives incredible complexity for the world of human resources.
Welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast, a series of conversations with experts inside and outside the world of HR on how to innovate, measure, and evolve our practices.
Our goal is to help provide you with practical examples of how HR has to change to meet the complexity of the business environment.
Every week, we'll talk to new and different voices on all aspects of HR.
And at times, we'll get irreverent.
Silly even.
And sometimes geek out on the data and technology that underlie the processes that drive the world of HR.
But the conversations are always insightful and fun. So please, enjoy the HR Data Labs podcast.
I think you're being naive.
Yeah. I know I'm being naive.
I think we need a new kind of HR. And part of me also wants to, I don't know the answer. I want to find a new name to some degree, but HR will always be there. Traditional HR, as we've grown to know and love it, will always be there. And it's the unsexy, foundational, functional compliance piece of HR. even people bringing their best selves to work are going to be, messy and drama filled and perhaps not doing things in alignment with either, legal requirements or whatever. So there's always going to be some need for somebody to oversee the alphabet soup of regulations that we have. And I think sometimes
wait, you can't,
piece,
I was going to say, you can't automate that, like, to some extent. Like,
well,
there are solutions out there now that automate some of this.
I mean, there are, and we FMLA as an example. We have we use a third party administrator to handle FMLA, which I love because I don't have to get into everybody's business. I don't have to see their healthcare provider forms.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is they've applied for leave. Third parties handling it, dealing with the doctors, getting all the. I just know Sally Sue has been approved to be off for X period of time. However, yes, that's automated. Yes, it's an 800 number they call. But back here at the workplace, there are issues that, as a human being, I get involved with because they're uncertain. They're afraid. They're not sure what this means. What's the interplay between this very automated, fairly smooth FMLA application and approval process and the reality of when and how they can come back to work and what that transition is going to be like. So there's always a human element, even in the most automated compliance piece. So I think that part of HR will always be there. But I see HR splitting into, sort of this administration side, the compliance administration, payroll, benefits, whatever. And then there's the kind of talent and people side. Again, I don't know what we call it. I'm kind of over the word talent, but I use it all the time anyway because everybody else does.
Well, yeah, and you're right. Not everybody's talented, or they're talented on the spectrum. They're talented at work and maybe not their personality or whatever,
Right, yeah. But for now, it's what we call it. But
yeah.
I think under that umbrella, resides some of the things we're doing now. Recruiting, performance management, L&D, learning and development activities. Growth and expanding the capabilities of people. That kind of lies under there. I think then there's a third piece that sort of lays somewhere in the middle, and that's the data and analytics piece. And I think that lies somewhere in the middle. Doesn't necessarily go under either umbrella, but has to work with both of them and work with the business and work, pull in the operational data and the economic data, the things that are out in the community, and the other factors that come into any sort of planning and strategy and growth things for the business. So I think HR will still be there, and I always think about what's it going to look like. We're focused on now a lot of tools and processes and automation and tech, and I love all of that, and that's valuable. But here's where the hard work is, and even those more innovative organizations, I think, are still struggling with this. Gets back to the how do we fix work overall. It's that mind shift for leaders, for managers, for employees. It's the mind shift piece, and it's how do we treat people piece.
Yeah. When I think about the future of work, I'm pessimistic. I'm pessimistic about HR, employment options, and just about everything else out there. There's an old model of human resources that exists where one person called an HR generalist or a business partner does all the emotional labor and generally waits around for things to go wrong. When Robin thinks about the future of work in HR, I wonder what she thinks about. What HR roles are going to be there and what's going away?
When I think optimistically,
well,
I think it is. I think we're poised. It's come up on us too quickly, but I think we are poised. I think that there are more and more HR people that are poised to make a shift. So it's a matter of those kind of those, I'm just going to say that middle tier. It's your maybe senior, very senior people. They're HR generalists, but they're in a large enterprise. How do they make the shift? And they have to start thinking, what does that new model of HR look like? And so it becomes, I think, for that person, either developing a specialty, perhaps the HR generalist role. I think the HR generalist role is what's in danger. I don't think HR is in danger. So that HR generalist needs to take a deep dive into a specialty, whatever that may be. Maybe that goes, to talent acquisition. Maybe that goes to technology. Maybe that goes into analytics. Maybe it goes into whatever, recruitment, marketing, whatever. Or into more the OD and L&D sort of side of the business. But that HR generalist kind of sitting in the middle, they need to perhaps reskill themselves. And they've got a good functional foundational base from which to do that. But it's almost thinking, what area of HR do I want to specialize in? Way back in the day, we had a whole lot more talk about HR specialists versus generalists. And now we have this army of generalists that serve a purpose, especially in small organizations where there's a department of one. You have to do it all. But in a large enterprise, that generalist role, I think that's the role. That's HR that's in danger.
Finally, I asked Robin to give us a future vision of human resources and tell us how her career will continue to grow. How does Robin know she's doing good work in the world of human resources, and how will she continue to do that in the future?
I actually just recently settled on this phrase here within the last week or so. Because you and I are very similar in that we tend to think about these things a lot. What do I stand for? What am I? What do I believe? How do I know I'm doing good work, whatever that looks like? And what I've sort of settled on as my next step, what that looks like, in terms of impact, I don't quite know yet. But I'm an advocate of the workplace revolution.
Whoa, wait. I love that. That is so good. Got to break that down for me. What does that mean?
Yeah. That, I'm a supporter of, I'm an ally of the people who are doing the work. I'm an advocate and an ally of the employees. I'm an ally of the people we hire. I would not be sitting here if I didn't have all the people in this organization that are doing the actual hard work every day. And I need to be in their corner. I need to be their ally. But the bigger side of things, it's also advocating for the workplace revolution, which sounds very, I don't know, Russia 1918 or something. I don't know, but
I love it. Good-looking uniforms.
Things are, things are changing. Things have changed. Things change a little slower here in South Louisiana, but people are restless. People are anxious. We have opportunities within our organizations to do things in new and innovative and exciting ways, and to make people feel fulfilled, and to make people feel that they're contributing to the level that they want to. I'm totally, simultaneously, I'm totally fine with people that have a life outside of work and just want to come in, do their best, and walk out the door at 5:00. That's okay. We need people like that because they're getting shit done. But as the workplace is drastically changing, I want to be there on the sidelines, pushing for the good changes that are coming. And I think HR's role and what I work to do here with my GM, my boss, and the other leaders here is to let them know, here's what's coming. Here are the trends. Here's what's happening. So I will go into let me pick an issue. We're having trouble recruiting for XYZ position. Well, we always have trouble recruiting for XYZ position, and there are multiple reasons why. But I will go in armed with, here's the latest unemployment. Oh, and in our area. Oh, and in the meantime, I've called my competitors, and here's what they're doing. Oh, and I've got all this market research, and I've got this information. Oh, and by the way we have this particular job structured, it's still working for us because we've done it this way for the 25 years the property's been open. But that's changing. And we may not be ready to change today, but we have to start thinking about it because people have other opportunities. They do not need to come and take our job. So it's having those conversations and educating my team, my managers, my leaders here on the property of what that revolution looks like.
Amazing. Well, Robin, I know that you're going to succeed at the forefront of the workplace revolution. And I know that a lot of HR professionals follow you and already know where to find you. But so many people who are listening to this episode aren't necessarily in human resources. So can you tell everybody where they can find you on the internet?
I am all over the internet. So sometimes I tell people just to Google me because that works. But robinschooling.com is my blog. That sadly, I probably write a post a week or so, but
the archives are strong. Come on now.
The archives are strong,
right.
as the old blog archives are too. LinkedIn, Robin Schooling. I'm on Twitter at Robin Schooling. And catch me out and about at various and assorted events throughout the year as well.
Well, I love it. I also want to give a shout out to something that you do called the HR Carnival that you organize.
Yes.
Can you tell everybody what that is?
I love the HR Carnival because it is a voice of, really it's the voice of all these people that we're talking about today. It's the voice of the HR professionals. So the HR Carnival is a blog carnival. It's been around it's in the 11th year. I was thrilled to take the reins. Ultimately, it was started by some really stellar people, and I've been running it for a couple of years now. And every month we have a guest host that hosts the carnival on their blog, and I send out the call for posts and help them coordinate getting other HR bloggers to submit recent content. And we just run a whole host of blog posts. So it's a one-stop quick place for people to go see what people are talking about. What excites me about it, in the last year or so, we've had just this explosion of new HR bloggers.
Well, Robin, I love the HR Carnival, and I'm so glad you had an opportunity to come on the show today. Thanks again for being here.
Oh, thank you, Laurie. All right. Fun to talk.
All right, Robin, we'll see you again soon. And everybody sit tight. We'll be right back with more Let's Fix Work. You know I love to brag about my friends. I also like to listen to them. And right now, I'm listening to Jennifer McClure, host of the Impact Makers podcast. Jennifer is connecting with leaders across all industries to figure out how to make a difference at work and in the world. Here's what she's got going on.
I believe strongly that each of us has the ability and the opportunity to positively impact people through our work and through how we choose to live our lives. The truth is that you've already impacted people in this world, even if you haven't been trying.
I love what Jennifer has to say. And if you like what you're hearing right here on Let's Fix Work, you'll love what Jennifer's talking about on Impact Makers. So go to jennifermcclure.net/iTunes and subscribe today. Hey, everybody, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Robin Schooling, America's HR lady and workforce revolution advocate. Please check the show notes and find out where you can connect with Robin online, on the internet, and everywhere. And feel free to connect with me at L. Rudiman and Let's Fix Work. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, review, and share our podcast and connect with us on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Let's Fix Work. We would love your help and support as we grow and expand the podcast. Let's Fix Work is a production of One Stone Creative. Audra Casino, Megan Doherty, and Gersonde Leflèche produce the show and make me sound great. I appreciate all of your support. Thanks again for all of the email messages and tweets and Facebook comments and also Instagram connections. That's all for this week's episode. We'll see you next time on Let's Fix Work.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Let's Fix Work. Wouldn't you love to get your hands on Laurie's no-holds-barred, honest HR handbook for employees and pros alike? Download it for free at laurierudiman.com/DIYHR.